Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of the Bill Crane Report. My man Dwayne Weiss is right here beside me, and it's a Friday, brisk out.
But it's the end of February.
It's the end of February, is right.
We got one extra day stuck in on us.
That's right.
But after that,
And by the long range look at the weather this morning in the newspaper, looks like the next 6 days are going to be dry.
Yep.
The seventh day, it may rain.
rain
But
don't hurt this time of year because we
but
need.
they're talking about a warm front,
Yep.
60 degrees.
Yeah. We were
and
actually
rain.
down
Yeah.
about half of our normal rainfall.
Actually, we got 3/4 of an inch the other night.
Did we?
Yeah, we're up. We're off 2 inches for the season.
Okay.
But that, good rainstorm, or I hate to say it, a good snowstorm, and we'll get all that back. But let's hope it's a rainstorm.
He didn't mean it when he said
No, I tear my tongue out and throw it on the ground.
That's right. 'Cause you don't have to shovel rain.
No, I don't.
And it don't cost me a guy to have somebody come plow the damn
Exactly
thing.
right. I need to start off with a little. Oh, I got to do something about that. Would like to talk just briefly. Within the past 2 weeks, death has claimed two fine men, Jim Murray and Frank Gross. Jimmy was born in Norfolk, a few houses from me, and was 1 year older than I. So his death kind of hits home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy married Judy Arnold and raised his family on Cleveland Street. Successful in business, a wonderful family man, and a good friend. Jim will be sorely missed by all who knew him. And a good guy. I never heard one person say a bad word about him. A decent guy. Secondly, a week later, we had the death of Frank Gross, longtime Norfolk resident.
I knew Frank, who
Yep.
he was anyway. I didn't.
Yep.
The other man I didn't know.
And Frank, upon retirement, moved to New Bern, North Carolina. Frank and his wife Carol lived in the center of town in the building where he had his law office. Very active in town activities, served as moderator for 20 or 25 years, school committee chairman for 20 or 25 years. He's also served as the head of the cemetery commission, and many times the only member of the cemetery commission for 20 or 25 years. He was also very interested in history,
Okay.
history of the town of Norfolk.
He was the moderator, and everybody knew him that way.
Yep. He possessed a very dry wit.
Okay. Yeah.
And he always parceled out good advice and was a good friend. And I know a lot of times when I had nothing to do and a few hours to do it in, and I went uptown for something and there was no cars at Frank's, I'd drop in on him and chat for 15 or 20 minutes. And he always had good stories and good advice.
Okay. Good.
So the town of Norfolk finds itself much poorer in the passing of these two fine men. We need more like Jimmy and Frank, not fewer. And I pray that God may take them both in his loving arms and hold them safely for all eternity. And my condolences go out to Judy and Carol and their families during these stressful times.
Well put.
Good people, both.
Yep.
Well, coronavirus.
Some of the subject on everybody's mind. Right
Yeah,
now.
a bigger story causes respiratory problems, failures, but also causes multiple organ failures in severe cases and has a 14-day incubation period. We're not positive how it's transmitted. The Chinese should be ashamed of themselves.
Absolutely, they should be held.
They
This
did-
is one they should be really held accountable
Yep,
for.
that's right. They did not offer early warning, and then underreported cases and continue to underreport severity and fatalities of this malady.
It's all a matter of trying to save face.
Yep. What is wrong with these paranoid, inbred rulers of this country? What's wrong with openness, honesty about such matters? Is it their inability to control and manage this outbreak that demands secrecy? Are they afraid their way will be exposed as not being the best way, as the reason for the secrecy? Is that was what behind this paranoid need to save face at all costs? Let's hold that thought and expand on it. In a free capitalist society, 10 to 15 independent drug companies are working to develop new drugs to bring to market that will save lives, compared to the Chinese way, which is to form a state company think tank and demand they develop cures for diseases with a gun to their heads, figuratively speaking, but in many cases literally speaking. Such as, the cases literally speaking, such as, the price you will pay for failure, don't you, Director Chow? This is why they constantly try to steal our secrets, our methods, and our techniques, because it's the only way they have to try to compete. Yep. The free enterprise system works much better. And one more set of remarks, and we can plow into anything you want. Tuesday night's debate was a positively embarrassing moment for the Democrat Party.
But very entertaining for some of us.
Was. The 7 participants were the saddest grouping of stick figures ever shown on one stage. They huffed and puffed, yelled at one another, waved their arms, talked over one another, and made the Three Stooges show look calm and reasonable. Bloomberg, a disaster in his first debate, did absolutely nothing to improve his position. He came across as an angry, bitter little man. Sanders comes across as an angry, arm-waving ideologue without a practical bone in his body. Biden lived up to his crazy Uncle Joe nickname. Warren toned down her act, speaking in a more subdued fashion, but did not offer one reason why she should be the candidate of the progressives. Major Pete was sort of like a cigar store Indian into a debate about 5 miles over his head. Klobuchar was calm, well-spoken, and seemed reasonable. But please tell me one thing she said. She talked a lot and said literally nothing of importance, worth remembering. And of Steyer, I can only say this. Here's a guy with no personality whatsoever, no plan for the nation that he could articulate, and no clue as to what he was doing on the stage.
Yep.
The entire event was a charade, a joke, but for the fact that the stakes are so high, this would have been a comedy of the absurd spectacular.
Yeah, it's true. It's all true. Steyer, you take his one asset, you pull that off, and that's money.
That's it.
There's nothing left.
No, there's nothing left.
There's just nothing there. His ideas are rehashes of somebody else's ideas up there. He takes a little bit from here, this a little bit from that, and he pontificates. And he's been part of the problem in the past.
But his big thrust on his TV ads, I will end the climate crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Here's
a man who owns 6 coal mines, biggest coal mines in the country, before he decided to run for president.
It's just, and I think he thinks he's going to do it on money alone, like Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Bloomberg's had 2 back-to-back bombs on the debate
side.
He has got to be stepping back from this and saying, or as people are saying to him, You're not going to make it, Mike. You know? I mean, you've got to change the way you're doing business here.
Absolutely. And stop apologizing for doing things when you were mayor that worked.
Well, you know what?
Stop apologizing for it.
You know what? I am a big fan of stop and frisk.
So am I. Look what it did for New York.
Absolutely. 1,700 deaths a year, murders a year.
Yeah.
And they brought it down, I think it's around 200 now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you can go back to the broken windows offensive
That's
by
right.
Rudy Giuliani
Yep.
and the stop and frisk.
Yep.
Now, so we're tired of seeing our children stopped and frisked. Well, okay, bring your children home and read them the Riot Act.
Yeah.
And tell them, stop carrying guns.
That's right.
Stop dealing drugs.
Come home
stop
before 3 or 4. What are you doing at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4:30, hanging
Stop
out in the street?
hanging out with absolute criminals and thugs. What the hell do you think? The police go to the neighborhoods with the highest crime rates because the people in the neighborhoods have said, help us.
That's right. We can't even walk out our own door.
That's right. So they go.
Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the police are the bad guys.
That's right. The police are the bad guys. Now, with that said and done, there are too many people on the police department that abused that process.
Well, I'm not surprised there at all.
And when they start harassing somebody and stopping them and frisking them every night of the week for 2 weeks, look, that's wrong. I don't care how bad the kid is. If he's doing something wrong, put him in cuffs and bring him in. Never mind this night after night after night after night. And you know, and the cops weren't even subtle about it sometimes, you know. But when crime is at a drastic level, you got to take drastic measures.
That's right.
And it worked.
It worked.
And Rudy Giuliani cleaned up Times Square,
Yep.
and New York was safe to walk around.
That's right.
Now, with this clown that is the mayor in New York, the shootings are up again, the crime is up again.
He doesn't want to force anything.
No, doesn't want to.
Oh, no.
No, don't you go arresting those boys.
Mm-mm.
Man alive. I got another question for you.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren, faced with possibly losing Massachusetts to Bernie Sanders next Tuesday, is this mean it's over for her?
I think so, in spite of the Boston Globe rosy endorsement.
Isn't that something?
It's pathetic.
I mean,
But I think it is. I think your poll numbers are 8%, 9%, getting down in there now. People are really tired of her school teacher pointing the finger, you, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that.
my wife made a good point when she said she started too soon with the pointing, the lecturing, the blaming. And you know what? She's like a one-trick pony.
That's right.
That's the only approach she has.
Right.
She doesn't sit down and say, you know, we need to calmly talk about this subject.
Exactly.
She's not capable of doing it. And her press meetings or conferences, she doesn't have them, but she has these town halls.
Yeah, which are setups.
Which are setups.
Yeah.
So she's not fielding the tough questions.
No, she's not at all.
Because she doesn't have an answer for a lot of the tough questions.
No, she won't answer a question to start with. She's a master at avoiding an answer. You ask her what time it is, and she's going to tell you what she had for dinner. She just will not stay with what the subject is if she don't want you to know the answer.
Bingo.
Yep.
It's over. So I went on the internet a couple of nights ago, and spent an interesting 10 minutes. The budget for the United States of America, for our government, I believe is $3.4 trillion a year.
Something like that.
So I looked at Bernie's spending plan. Well, this is over a 10-year period.
Even Bernie can't tell you what that is.
Well, I got all the numbers.
Okay.
So here's his numbers. Now, I'm not sure what this means, but deficits under existing policies,
Okay.
$13.1 trillion over 10 years. Free college aid for all and cancellation of all student debt, $2.2 trillion.
Yeah.
Now-
that's
Supposing that I just got through putting my 3 sons through college,
I know where you're going.
working 2 jobs,
Yep.
remortgaging the house, but I got the little monsters through school.
Yeah, and paid off.
Now, I now have to pay taxes for Bernie's plan to cancel the debt of all the other students. How about making me whole again?
That's right. And you imagine what you would feel like if you just paid your student debt off,
Yeah.
and the next week it was forgiven.
Unbelievable. Expand Social Security and other retirement benefits, $1.4 trillion. Housing for all, $2.5
Yeah,
trillion.
That's another one. It's just there's no end to it. You don't know where it's going to stop.
I like this one. Green New Deal to stop global warming. So if this $16.3 trillion is approved for Bernie and spent, we're going to have stopped global warming.
No, he won't.
Oh, that's what it says on his
Well,
website.
that's what he says too, but he doesn't control what India is going to do or China is going to do. Or
Oh, you
anybody
mean
else.
so that in the fact that the U.S. only contributes 8% to the pollution in the world
Precisely.
doesn't really,
We do the same thing in the state. They got this deal right now. They want these eastern states to contribute to this environmental impact. It will have zero effect on the United States, even the United States.
and it's also not going to happen either.
No, I don't think so.
Because I don't believe there's one state that said to Governor Baker,
Yeah.
gee, great
What
idea.
a great idea. Yeah, right.
Let me belly up to the bar and put my money out. Yeah. Eliminating household medical debt, $2.5 trillion. Universal health, child care and preschool, $1.5 trillion. Here comes a beauty. Medicare for all, $17.5
Oh yeah, that's a biggie.
Increase funding for through K-12 education, $1 trillion. Federal funded paid leave, medical and family leave, $500 billion. Infrastructure initiative, $1 trillion. Federal guaranteed jobs program, many trillions, because they can't even agree on what it means.
is. That's right.
Total,
Mm-hmm.
60 trillion plus.
You got that.
Yeah. So if you divide this by the 10 years, you come out to 6 trillion spending
Well, you're
on,
spending.
on top of a budget that was 3.4. So you have doubled.
Yeah, what the entire national budget. What you've got there is the entire gross spending of the whole economy, not just the budget. Of every dollar that you spent at the grocery store, you bought a new car, you bought everything else. Add all that up, that's about what that comes to.
And by the way, the bottom line in this whole compilation was Sanders has other ideas also, but he has refused to talk about them or give you any idea what they may cost.
Yep.
Isn't that something to look forward to?
Every time somebody asks, will this raise taxes? He doesn't say yes. He goes off on another tangent, how it's going to save money here, it's going to save money here, it's going to save. He never addresses the fact that it's going to raise taxes. It has to. There is no magic pot to draw this from.
Nope. And not only that, but also when you get him going on the taxes, he'll finally admit this cannot be done without taxing the middle class.
That's right.
But because the free Medicare and the free leave and the free this and the free that come into play, he's going to be better off financially for paying $3,000 or $4,000 more in taxes.
That's right. But don't forget, folks, when he says this could raise the taxes, he's not talking about it. You look at the figures that Bill just said. This is not, if you paid $5,000, I'm just throwing a figure out, this year, after it goes up, it might be $5,500, $5,800. That kind of program, in its entirety, put in the way these guys are proposing, might triple your taxes. You might go from $5,000 to $15,000.
Not only that, but I got to tell you something, Dwayne. You know, there isn't a crystal ball in the world adequate to say housing for all is going to cost $2.5 trillion.
That's right.
You got no idea what it's going to cost.
You can look at some of the Scandinavian countries that have gone on to this quasi-socialist type thing where they provide all the services for you. Their tax rate varies anywhere from about 46% to 60% of your gross income. Now you're paying at least like half or more of your income just in taxes, and their stuff that they do is not a third of what is proposed here.
You know, good point. Good point. Now you know what? The proof is in the pudding. Okay.
That's right.
And I'm going to tell you right now that he is going to get more blowback from the Congress on this stuff. And I will tell you what he's going to say. We're going to nationalize the utilities and pump the profits into these plans.
Well, he'd be a great one for nationalization.
Right. Oh, he wants to nationalize this,
like
that, and the other thing. You watch.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I mean, the defense industry, well, they should be nationalized. Boeing should be nationalized. By the way,
we've seen across the world how that works.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That works real well.
Look how Mexico sets on huge petroleum reserves. We can see how much that benefited them by nationalizing the oil. Right. It never got out. The riches and the rewards and the infrastructure never got improved because it was nationalized.
Once, and after it was nationalized, all right, and Mexican people were in charge of running those oil rigs. Everything worked for a while. Until they required maintenance.
Until they didn't.
Yeah.
It worked until they didn't.
That's right. And then all of a sudden, now we get into a problem. And when the wells eventually run dry and you got to drill others, oh, we don't know how to do that. Yeah. So Venezuela is in the
perfect example.
Yeah.
They have. I think they're the single most
blessed
of petroleum
with the largest reserves.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
They should be one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
Well, guess what?
Yep.
They have finally admitted we're wrong.
We did
it wrong. And they have called in, I think it's BP, Shell,
A couple of the big internationals.
and another and a U.S. one, and said, "Come in, produce the oil for us.
Yep.
We'll split it 50-50 or something.
Yeah, they have.
Whatever the split's going to be."
But even, it doesn't. Even the Social Security, I'm sorry, the Medicare for All, they're not even looking at that correct.
No.
And that Jim Hand from the local paper.
He should
He
be
had
on.
an article the other day. Well, what's wrong with Medicare? And he had this quotation of percentages of people that are happy with their insurance as opposed to happy with Medicare. But he leaves stuff out. He doesn't tell the whole story. 70-some% are happy with Medicare, but he doesn't tell you with Medicare you have to have a supplemental policy on top of Medicare, or else you're not going to, if you get run into any problems, you're going to get financially killed.
You could, if you a long hospitalization.
You're done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. Well, I don't think Jim's the brightest lad in the
No.
world. No. He's got to be the owner's brother-in-law or something.
I think you're right.
Even if he really, I've never seen him,
I've
a
never
live
seen him.
picture of him. I mean, there's some sort of a caricature of him with the mustache, but I never saw a real picture of him. I don't think he even exists.
He could be a ghostwriter there.
Yeah. Well, I've got some tidbits here to get away from the madness of it all, and I'm going to see what you think. What percentage of women said they would not marry a man with a poor credit score?
Boy, you just got to pull out of your hat here. See, you got to think women that are astute and think for
College
themselves.
graduates and professionals, and then you got to
Or
figure on teenagers.
Teenagers, well, I love them.
Yeah, he gave me a lollipop.
Yeah, I love him. Even though he's in prison, I still love him. Oh, God, I got to say 55.
51% of
51.
women said they would not marry a man with a poor credit score.
Because that is an indication of, it's a direct indication of your past activities and sense of responsibility. It's a damn good indicator of what your future's going to be, too.
Absolutely. And not only that, but it also points out an awful lot of women have come a long way, and rather than the manly concept of them is being sweet and lovable and kind, and I'm getting in all kinds of trouble here. But I think this
Go ahead.
points out.
Maybe I can bail you out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll throw you a life preserver or a cement block.
Forget about what I just said.
Okay.
I think what this points out is with more women than men going to college now,
Yeah, that's right.
this proves that people are looking at marriage in a much more serious light than when their juices are hot and he says, I'm going to get a ring. I'm marrying you. You're the best thing since chocolate-coated donuts.
That's right.
Yeah.
And also, the thing has changed over the years. You and I are older. We've seen this. The relationship in a marriage with husband and wife for years and years. And ladies, I'm not. This is not patronizing or smooching or anything else. But it was the little lady she was the housewife. Man, he went out. He made the living and came back.
Killed the animals and dragged them home.
When they bought a car, he decided what kind of car they were going to get. He may ask her the color, but other than that, no, they don't get involved. And a lot of women really didn't want to get involved. Today, they're more of a partnership.
Well,
than
you
it
know
was-
what?
than ever was.
Then I can put that shoe on the other foot too, by saying the woman was the domestic engineer who chose the menu, how it was prepared, and
That's
put
true.
it on the table.
That's true.
Now men are becoming a lot more interested in cooking.
My son is
and
one
with,
of them. Yeah,
with,
that's it.
with both parents or
Yeah.
both partners working, the men are being called upon
Yeah.
to do their fair share of cooking. So it kind of
But I see
evens out a bit.
yeah, it does. But I see a lot of the women today are more getting involved. Now, I've lost friends, and you have too before, and some of the wives of the friends that died, when he passed away, she couldn't have told you where the electrical box was
Oh,
in the
I know.
house.
I know.
She couldn't tell you how to turn off the water. She didn't know where the checkbook was. She didn't know anything about that because her husband always took care of all these kind of things. If we needed fuel oil, she didn't know who to call.
You know, I bought a book at Noble, Barnes and Nobles. Good sized book like that. Name of it is "You're Dead. Now What?"
Yeah.
And it is like 130 pages of information you got to fill out for your kids or your wife.
Yes.
And put down where the keys to this is.
Yep.
Put down your investment objective. Put down where you got this filed. And on and on and on. I get a headache working on that.
That's right.
But it's necessary.
It is, really is.
Yeah.
Years ago already, we started this thing. I say, all right, just the household things.
Yeah.
I got these ground fault interrupters on the
Yeah.
circuit. Something with the lightning strikes the ground or something. The electricity doesn't work. Well, you go downstairs and you got to take the thing and put the switch over. But you don't just turn it on. You got to go all the way over and let it come back. Circuit breakers.
Circuit breakers.
Yeah. So I made her come down. I said, if I'm not here or I'm gone or even if I'm traveling and you lose the power on certain sections of the house, this is what you do. You can see which ones are flipped, but can't just flip them on because it won't work. You got to go all the way to the right and let it come back. Got to reset. Oh, she says, a good thing I know that. She said, I would never have known that you had to do that.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. But the setting of the mouse traps and the disposing of the mouses is still my job.
Yeah, there are certain...
I can show her that, but it ain't going to
It
work.
ain't going to happen. I know.
It's an interesting statistic. If a credit score goes up 100 points, the divorce rate goes down.
Yeah, sure. I think
Less arguments about finances.
I think money is one of the top troublemakers in a marriage
Listen,
or in a relationship today. A lot of times,
it is the number one cause
Yep.
of problems early on in a marriage.
Yeah.
It's not love and marriage. It's not sex. It's not vacations. It's money.
Yep.
And you gotta have your head around money before you get married. Otherwise, your head's going to end up on the chopping block.
Well, frequently you get two people. They love each other. They got married, or they are in a relationship, but they still have a different idea of lifestyles.
Bingo.
One says, well, we should do this or get this, and the other one says, we can't afford it. The other one says, why not? We got money in the bank. Yeah, but we only got this much, and we need this for the next few months. They just weren't raised that way. Their background wasn't. You take two different backgrounds, bring them together, and sometimes they don't mix that well.
I want to go on a Caribbean cruise.
Exactly.
Not me. I want to go a couple of weeks up in Maine fishing.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, these sort of things, you got to work these babies out before marriage. And you know what that means? You've got to talk.
Yeah. He has since passed, unfortunately. But we knew a couple, not here, but in one of the other states, that she had no concept of money. Dick did. And what she wanted, she thought she's going to get. Even if you tell her we don't have it, I'll just call the bank and get a loan. You won't even know about it until next month when the bill comes in. And she would. She didn't like the wallpaper one time in the living room. She said, I want new wallpaper. And Dick said, there's nothing wrong with that. We just paid for have that done. No, I want new. No, we're not getting it. So he goes to work, comes back. She has ripped all the wallpaper off the wall. now. So, she would just go ahead and, needless to say, that marriage,
Full speed ahead.
at some point, they were
Bingo. Gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Should have known that up front.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Changing the subject a bit. Sometimes the talking heads on cable TV are beautiful.
Oh my God.
But one of them, and I think it was CNN, said of the State of the Union speech, the dark parts were dark.
The dark parts.
Were dark.
I don't even remember any dark parts there. They were all, other than they were sad parts.
CNN.
When they talked about, the veteran getting killed overseas or something, but those aren't dark. Those are realistic. They're sad and they're emotional. But
CNN.
Oh my God.
Talking heads have got their own lingo.
Yep.
So, by the way, speaking of terrifying events, while I was home just now before I came up, I had to go out and yell at a hawk 3 times to
Really?
leave. Yeah, sitting right in my front bush waiting for my birdies. And I'd yell at him and he'd go.
Come right back.
Come right back. And the 3rd time he came back, I went out and ran at the bush and he took off.
That's pretty aggressive because
Yeah.
hawks normally, they see a human and they're gone.
This guy must be hungry.
Yeah, apparently.
The Democrats have an interesting conundrum, but it's going to affect the country. Who do I vote for? Candidate 1. Intellectually, I feel he's the best candidate, and he's got solid experience.
Who? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Candidate 1.
Oh, okay.
Intellectually, I feel he's the best candidate, and he's got solid experience. Or Candidate 2. I don't know or care about his qualifications. The polls said he has the best chance of beating Trump. If he can beat Trump, I don't care what kind of a job he does as president.
You did the last debate. That was pretty much the underlying theme of across the board on that group of candidates. Not what I can do for you as a citizen of the United States, but can I beat Trump?
What can I do to him?
That's right. As if the whole world wants to beat Trump.
Jack Howe is a senior editor for Barron's newspaper, the financial newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack is a hot ticket. He's got a very irreverent sense of humor. It's great. So he was talking about the debate, and he said, one of the ways I judge candidates for positions is, who would I rather sit down and have a beer with? He says, with this bunch, I'd rather drink alone. Oh, God. We have a $4.5 trillion budget.
4.5.
I've got it
Okay,
written down here. And we're bringing in $3.5 trillion. We're running a $1 trillion a year deficit annually. Yeah, that's what a year is built annually. Yeah. Mortgage rates are predicted to fall to 3%.
Okay, yep. It's great if you're going to buy a house
Or refinance.
or refinance.
Yeah. I refinance 3 times. Every time it comes down, I refinance. And I take extra out, I put it in the stock market.
Okay, okay. Our friends in Weymouth do that too.
Yeah.
And he's a retired finance professor, so apparently he knows what he's doing.
I'm a retired valve peddler.
There
And
you
I
go.
don't know what I'm doing. One of the wags on TV said, free college. That means rich kids can go to college too.
Well, that's the reality of this free tuition. Nobody is saying anything about means testing in it.
That's right. And I'm going to tell you something else too. When this happens, if it ever were to happen, when and if it does, there's going to be more rich kids putting in for this than poor kids. Poor kids
positively.
don't want to go to
They
college.
got nothing to do with it.
They are listening to a different drumbeat.
First of all, you got a poor kid. Let's say poor. I mean, throw the race part out of it. Just poor. White, black, green, yellow. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. If he's from a poor background, when he gets out of high school, chances are he's got to go to work. Mom and dad, even though tuition's free, can't afford to send him
No.
100 miles away and
he's-
rent an apartment and pay the food and his transportation and stuff.
Well, I think Bernie's talking about free dormitories and everything else, too, for
Probably.
these kids. And probably free food.
Yep.
But just the same, if these kids have done poorly in school,
Yeah.
which the ones coming out of inner city schools probably are doing poorly,
Yep.
they are not going to have the get up and go to do well in college. Supposing they have to move 150 miles away from home. So that means they're living in dorms. How much studying are they going to do?
Well, that's the problem. You got a certain element that never had any of the discipline to go to school.
Yep.
And it's probably not their fault because it's probably the parents' fault.
Of course it is.
Parent, in this case, a lot of time parent,
Parents,
singular,
a grandmother in
yeah,
many
that
cases.
raised the poor kid. And the kid has no idea about, well, if I got 3 hours of class here, I might have to 3 or 4 hours of study. After a while, he says, hell, I'm not even going to class, much less open that book. And of course, it is not going to succeed.
You know, I went to night school for my associate degree. And I bumped into a minority fellow, and I recognized him from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, hey, what the hell are you doing here? I said, this is a great way to pick up associate degree, and then from there go on later on maybe to a full degree. Night school. This is an accelerated night school program. So I said, it's covered under the GI Bill. Well, he says, that's why I signed up. I said, okay. He said, when the hell do the checks start coming? I said, from what I understand, about 6 weeks. So the first 2 checks came at the same time. And he showed up for class. And he said, hey, just thought I'd drop by and say, see you later. Have a good life. I
Just
said,
there to start the program to
I
get the
said-
checks rolling.
so that's it? He says, yeah. He says, this stuff is okay for you white guys.
There you go.
So, you know, how the heck do you go into a community, to neighborhoods,
And change
and
that attitude.
change that attitude?
That's right.
When you are the devil incarnate and you speak with a forked tongue.
Yeah.
Who is going to listen to you? How much credence does anyone put in what you have to say? Unfortunately, damn few.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is an attitude in some areas. And it's not just here; it's different parts of the
Oh,
country
I know
too.
it. I know it.
A friend of ours is a school teacher. Well, she's retired now, but she said the things that she would always hear. If a kid didn't do his home or did his homework, and he happened to be black, his peers would call him, "You're acting white."
Yeah.
And it was, the kid was on me. She said, I had students, black students were excellent students, could have been superb. They could have been number 1, 2, 3, 4 in the class. But they didn't
The peer pressure.
because of the peer pressure.
Yeah.
They would rather be just sort of mediocre.
Yeah. And they'd rather act up.
Yeah.
Be one of the boys. Yeah. Never mind towing the mark for the man.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And she said,
I know.
She said I couldn't get through to him. I couldn't change. I said, I don't think you can. So I didn't.
You know, we've seen this, you and I. And yet, there are younger people that haven't seen it. and they think we're exaggerating or
Or we're just a white racist because we
Yeah,
really
just-
brought it up.
yep. And when you see this
Yeah.
time and time again, when you drive through Jersey City, New Jersey, the most pitiful slums you ever want to see. When you drive through Trenton, New Jersey, more pitiful, horrible slums. If you dare drive through East St. Louis, Illinois, you're taking your life in your hands. All of a sudden, I know whereof I speak because I've done it, seen it,
Well, what?
and interfaced with it. And you have. Our generation has. But I tell you, when I tell you that I am flummoxed about this, and I just can't believe this conundrum we have that is almost insolvable.
Yeah, a classic case of what you were talking about. You don't have to go clear to
Yep.
New Jersey. I used to have an account down in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It was a big supplier for Electric Boat and
Yeah.
Sikorsky and those kind of people. And it was in a tough neighborhood. And you had to go up one-way street and go across and come back down the other because they had the other street. The first thing I noticed in it, you go on a school day, an absolute school day, no holiday, no nothing, and it was nice weather was decent. The streets were full of kids. Kids that were 7, 8, 10, 14, playing games in the street, and like kids do.
Yeah.
But I got to the count, and he said, how'd you come in? And I told him, he said, don't do that. He said, that's dangerous coming in that way. I said, well, there's kids everywhere. He says, no matter what time of day you go on a school day, it's full of kids. He said, apparently they don't go to school very often. And that's a problem because it's...
And then, Dwayne, the teachers give them passing grades
That's all
to
right.
get them the hell out of there.
And to make the school look decent.
Yeah.
If they don't, then all of a sudden the state starts looking at them, or other people, then they don't get this funding, that funding.
You know, I've got an article in here
Is
that
this the one about dumbing down the teachers?
Yep.
Yep, that's it.
And they want another test.
Yeah.
In other words, they want a test that the kids can pass, that the teachers don't have to break their backs teaching the kids.
There's another one where they want the teachers to take the teachers' exam to get the license for the teachers. They want that reduced for certain people.
Unbelievable.
And it's no wonder these kids aren't learning because you're not putting in a decent teacher to start with.
Yep. I tell you, I really and truly believe. And you know what, Dwayne? Here's the other thing that drives me crazy. You see, schools asking for this much money, asking for that much money, asking for this much money. And on town meeting night, it's packed with parents.
For that one issue.
They vote for that one issue,
Yep.
and they get up, and it's like the movement west. They migrate right
out the
of
door.
the room. And when you look at it, what it boils down to is just continuing to throw money at the problem
That's right.
in the hopes that somehow you'll strike gold. But you know what Albert Einstein said about insanity?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting a new result.
That's
yeah.
right.
Well, if we continue to do nothing but throw money at the problem with no guidance, no guidelines, no thought put into it, just, oh, here's another bag of money, nothing
But
will ever change.
I've seen that phenomenon in town meeting
Yep,
where they got a school issue, particularly like an override
Yep.
that they want in.
yep.
The place will be packed. And then I was there one night and they were complaining they wanted that article up first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because there was
There was a bunch of other.
Other stuff, and they wanted to get back,
They wanted
back
that
home
go
to
home
watch
so we both
some
can get
movie on Netflix.
so I can get out
Yeah.
of here.
Yep. Oh yeah. Now, hooray for me, and the heck with you.
Yeah, I was hoping they put it last.
Yeah. Now that would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they would have been sitting there hooting, hollering, and banging their feet, and who knows. Well, so 1,000 drivers were surveyed.
Okay.
And this is, according to carinsurance.com, the most common respondents gave for speeding.
Oh boy.
24% said they didn't realize they were speeding. But that's probably reasonable.
That's I've done that myself, going up to 495, and I'm driving along, and look at, oh Christ, I'm doing 85.
18% said they were late for work. I think that's a rather high number, and it's probably just an excuse.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's going to risk their life just to get in on time.
14% said they were going as fast as everyone else.
Yeah, that's a common.
Yep. 11% said they were late to pick up or drop off a child.
A little high. I'm waiting for the one I know has got to be in there.
11% blamed a medical emergency.
Okay, that's a little high too, I think.
11% didn't see a speed limit sign. That's probably believable.
Yeah.
9% had to use the bathroom.
That's the one I was waiting for.
And the bottom ones, 8% said they were running late for an interview. 3% they said they were late for a funeral. And of all the ones, this is probably the most believable.
Yeah.
1% said they were bringing home hot food and they didn't want to get it cold.
That's possible too.
Yeah.
But the one about going to the bathroom, how many times, we both watched PD Live, how many times will they stop a car? Lady, you're doing 65 in the 30 zone. I got to go to the bathroom real bad.
Do you know men can find bushes?
Yeah.
And behind, at the end of an alley, behind a warehouse. Women, they're trapped.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, by the way, 5, Bill.
Okay.
We got stuck in a blizzard back years ago. On one of them, it was the end of March, the 1st of April, a weird blizzard. We got stuck on Interstate 84 coming out of Connecticut, and the road had shut down. We're literally stopped.
Okay.
There's cars all around us, and as the night went on, you'd see people getting out of the cars, going around the car. You know what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
And Monica says, oh, I got to go. Well, go ahead. She says, yeah, but it's easy for you guys, because I got out of the car, Craig got out of the car. I said, just go. I said, it's snowing so hard, nobody see anyway, and who cares at this point?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll open the back door and just snuggle in against it.
And she said the light might come on. I said, I can stop that light. Huh?
Yeah, I can push the button in. Yeah, I know. But it's tough. So tell me something. We have looks like some maneuvering going on in the Massachusetts legislature.
You think?
Yeah, there's some phony stuff going on.
They live on that.
Traffic light cameras.
That's going to cause...
I think they would like to do it.
3.
But they don't quite have the backbone.
Yeah, that's the problem right there.
Because they are going to hear it from their constituents and from their fellow reps and senators. So what do you think about that? And folks, what this is a camera mounted to take a picture of the license plate of cars that go through red lights.
Yeah, but that's the big one, is the running a red light or a stop sign. But it's mostly red lights. As my brother-in-law found out in Florida.
Yeah. So what do you think about this, folks? I know Listen, they've had this in Germany for, how long ago was I over there? 50 years? Oh,
A lot of states got it. If you look in this state, in this country too, already, they've had it for years.
in fact, my commanding officer got a picture of one of our staff cars blowing through it
right.
on the Autobahn.
Oh, my brother, he got caught speeding going back to the airport from Disney. That's what it was.
And of course, the Army, I mean, we just laughed at it. Why'd they bother to send it? But they did. But so, I don't know. I don't think privacy concerns are going to fly. Look, if you're
It'll be
breaking-
raised. That's going to be the first issue raised.
Yeah, that's the big one.
So,
Yeah, and what they're saying is it's going to cut down on congestion. Going through red lights is going to cut down on congestion. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is okay. They're playing games with. Is this going to go into this committee or is it going to go into this committee? And the Republicans have made a challenge, and supposedly that tables it for 3 days.
William, it's called justifying your existence. If you don't make a simple item into something really complicated with all kinds of meetings and all kinds of compromises and all kinds of reports, you don't look important.
You're not doing your
You're
job.
not doing your job. Don't kill the job here.
I think this will pass.
I think it might.
Folks, we just got the notice from headquarters that time is up. So, on that note, wish you a very happy day, night, or whatever it is you're doing, and come on back and see us.
Good.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.